yes, nobody can always be grateful. And lo and behold, she was. She just had a way of experiencing life that was profound. Over the time of the years that we served the church together and did ministry together, I learned so much from her in that response. And what I learned the most was that that response was not conditional on things going right in Pam's life. She was just not grateful for the blessings that she was experiencing, and there were many. There were times where her children were driving her crazy. Her husband was unemployed. There were times at church that we were like, oh, Lord, what are we going to do? We're not going to make budget and all that craziness that pastors go through. This ministry is not happening. What are we going to do? And Pam always said, I'm grateful. I believe that she chose her words carefully. And Pam taught me that gratitude is not always conditional on things being the way we like them to be. But that gratitude is a choice that we make. Gratitude is a choice that we make. Certainly, that's what we saw in we heard in this morning's sacred text. Only one person that had been healed from leprosy came back to thank Jesus, right? Now, we don't know anything about this person except that the person was a Samaritan. The Samaritans and the Jews did not mix. So Jesus says, we're not 10 healed. I'm sure that some of the other 9 experienced amazing things. Maybe they were off to share with their friends what had happened. Maybe they had family members that they had been in exile from because of their leprosy. Because if you had leprosy, not only did you not live with your loved ones, you had to walk around with bells on so that whenever you walked, that people would hear you coming and you had to call out, leper, leper, leper. How's that for placing a trip on your own self, right? What we do know in this text is that the one who came back to express thanksgiving and gratitude just couldn't help it. This one came back realizing that they had been made clean and they were thankful because nothing else could have done that for them. It was not within their experience to take medication, don't you know, right? They didn't go to the pool of Siloam to get healed as the blind person did. And yet this person's reality was completely different because they chose to express gratitude. And Jesus does not judge the others, but he said to the one, go on your way. Your faith has made you whole. Each and every one of us goes through difficulties that we cannot explain. And sometimes we are devastated by the events of any given day. And yet at the same time, when we learn to express gratitude for our reality, our psyche begins to change. It's just like we've been learning here at MCC Richmond, that if you want to feel freedom, if you want to be happy, if you want to know purpose, what do? Do something for somebody else. Bless somebody else. Give somebody else a smile, a kind word. Last night we were at an amazing wedding, and I kept saying to the servers, thank you so much for all that you're doing so that we can enjoy this party. And you know, not one of them walked away. One woman did say to me, she was like, oh, you're making the time go by faster and I don't want to be here. I was like, well, good. But you see what I'm saying? And when we see those smiles, when we see people have a different reality, we feel good. That's how it works. If you want to get out of your own rut, do not isolate. Do not continue to think about the realities of your life, but force yourself to get up and get, oh, I love that baby. Oh, my goodness, isn't that a blessed sound this morning? Oh, that's Felicia's grandbaby? Oh, I know you're grateful for her. Let us see who she is. Oh. Now that'll put a smile on your face, won't it? There are lots of emotions that we feel. Sometimes we feel anger. Sometimes we feel frustration. Sometimes we're riddled with grief at a loss. Sometimes we don't understand the problems in our relationships or in our friendships. And what I have learned, especially over the 20 years that I've been a pastor, is that when we allow those emotions to take center stage in our lives, then we begin to behave and have whatever that negative reality is. Do you hear what I'm saying, church? So that when we are frustrated, when we act on the emotion of being frustrated, we are evil and toxic to others. Don't you agree? Yes, we all know that. And there are times that we just have to take a deep breath and realize that even though we're having the frustration, even though we're dealing with the anger or the disappointment or whatever the grief might be, that there are always reasons to find gratitude. Is it that we need to learn something about the relationship? Is it that we need to really listen to others that are trying to communicate to us? And even though we're frustrated by them, what is it about their behavior that frustrates us? What are they going through? And as we try to understand, then our relationship begins to take a different course, because we can understand why they're acting in a certain way. Or what about a frustration at your work? Maybe you're experiencing a setback. Who knows? Maybe a project isn't going the way you thought it was going to go. Or maybe you're being treated poorly by your employer. What is it that you can learn from those situations so that you can better understand them? And then as you begin to think about whatever it is that's going on, did you ever imagine to give God thanks that this individual or this situation, you're able to learn from it because these people are being honest with you? Now there's something to learn, isn't it? That when we engage with people and we step out of the frustration box, when we step out of the negativity, then we have an opportunity to learn something about them. And so then we can help. We can bring the blessing of God's amazing love and healing in ways we could not understand. And sometimes just imagining that this person has fingers and toes and a mouth is the only thing that we can find to express gratitude for. But as you begin to express gratitude for others, no matter their behavior, no matter their response, I guarantee you that you will begin to feel freedom. And why is that? Because you've entered the relationship in a new way, in a way that brings God into the relationship with you. And that will change people's hearts. That will change people's minds. Because in our culture, we have been so trained not to listen to people. We have been so trained by negativity to not think the higher good for anybody, let alone ourselves. And so with all this negativity that is in our culture, imagine that as we express gratitude, not only are we seeing individuals heal, not only are we freed up, but we're bringing a new awareness to the culture. This past week, I was reading the newspaper on my iPhone. And as I was waiting for an appointment, I was like, oh my goodness, every single one of these headlines are negative. As I turned on the TV, and started listening to you-know-who's presidential campaign, I thought, this is pure garbage. Negative, negative, negative. Hate, hate, hate. Shame and blame. It's all over the place. And so we live in a time where gratitude, just being thankful, saying that you're thankful to other people is so needed and it's so important. On Thursdays, as we serve people at the lounge, people roll in there and they're tore up. They are tore up. And when Tigger and Richard and Beth says to them, welcome, would you like a bag? And they're like, yeah, it's a bag. And then they escort them over to the shelves of the food pantry, and they get to choose which items they want. They get to choose. And so by then, they're kind of like beginning to mellow out a little bit, right? And then they come over to the lunch table, and we greet them. And they're like, we can have whatever we want, and as much of whatever you want. And you see people hang out. You see people sharing around tables. And if that doesn't bring a smile to your face, and every single person as they leave, they always say thank you. They're grateful for a place where they can just be. And some of them, we are beginning to invite them to church, and guess what? They show up. Isn't it amazing? This past week, 3 more people we were able to get housing for. How does that happen? How does that happen? People that lived on the street, not thinking they deserved anything better than a piece of cardboard to sleep on. And they're grateful for the cardboard because at least they're not sleeping on a cold pavement. When you begin to see that expressing gratitude changes your life, you will begin to live in the spirit of gratitude. I have a friend in California that we just heard from this past week. My friend Judy lives with the realities of Parkinson's disease. Julie is a top-notch teacher and a top-notch organist. The devastation from her illness makes her not able to teach, nor is she able to play the organ at church any longer. Judy just shakes. I can remember before I left California, she could not sit still, only for seconds, because her whole body, the tremors were just taking it over. She could not hold a glass of water. And yet at the same time, Judy somehow was able to express gratitude. And I didn't get it. Judy had a surgery just before I left where they put something in her brain that stimulated the part of her brain that took away the tremors. And when I heard about this, I was just amazed because I saw the effects of the tremors on Judy. And then I heard that the implant that has been put in her brain is causing her tremendous back pain. And it also messes with her balance. So she has a difficult time walking or standing. And yet at the same time, Judy expresses gratitude. Judy is well aware that Parkinson's will someday take her life. But not today. That's what Judy says. Not today, Pastor Kenny. I'm alive and living. I get to see my son. I get to breathe the air. I get to see fall. As much as you could see fall in California, right? Judy understands that whatever reality she's going through, she has a choice to make. She could be riddled with anger and fear and bitterness, and I'm sure she has days where she feels just that. And yet at the same time, she is grateful to open her eyes for another day to live and experience the blessings that God has for her, even though she's living with the effects of Parkinson's. Now, I'm not here to stand before you with this Pollyanna thing, right, that just a little bit of gratitude will make things go away. But what I am here to say is that I think that when we choose to express gratitude, that it doesn't matter all the other things. There's always a reason to be grateful. Sometimes it's just like I said, it's that you have fingers and toes. And that as we express gratitude, it's like a muscle. Now, that's where you also go, what? The pastor knows about muscles? Right? It's like strengthening a muscle, this gratitude reality. And the more you express gratitude, you don't have to believe it, but express it anyway. And I believe that's how Judy is getting through Parkinson's disease, because she knows the power of gratitude. Some of you may be going through challenging, overwhelming experiences. I know that expressing gratitude almost seems impossible at times. And it's in those times that I ask you to let us know. Let your MCC Richmond family know what you're going through. You know why? So that we can pray for you, so that we can encourage you, so that we can stand in for you and ask God blessings on your life. And there will be a time when you can express gratitude. So my challenge to you today is to live fully. Experience all of life, the good and the bad, and allow yourself to be present. And instead of not sharing whatever your reality is, to share it, to find somebody that you can trust, to just let them know how you're doing. And together, find something for you to hold on to that isn't about your experience, but a new reality. Find something to be grateful for, and let that be your motivation. And I guarantee you that gratitude will come, and this is how it most often comes. You'll just wake up, you'll be giving thanks for the good coffee that Kirk Blanford has made for you, or you'll be so grateful that the pastor's back, whatever, the baby is here. There will be some reality that happens in your life, and before you know it, instead of expressing the negativity for your circumstance, you will say, thank you, God. And it's at that moment that you will hear more clearly, more profoundly, the good news of God's love and God's grace. However you experience God, and whatever your God is, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you will know that the Holy One has met you and is doing a good thing. And you will hear God say, stand up, go on your way. Your faith has made you whole. Amen? Amen. So church, how are you? Amen.